Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Mark Lin. Namaskar. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Disengagement at Depsang and Demchok complete. Indian and Chinese troops to exchange sweets on Diwali. Israeli strikes southern Lebanon targeting Hezbollah. Israel also warns Iran of strong reprisal if Iran chooses to retaliate. Spain's deadliest flooding in 3 decades claims at least 64 lives. The disengagement exercise between India and China in Depsang and Demchok has been completed. According to defense sources, the Indian armed forces are conducting verification. Sources also added that coordinated patrolling will start soon by both sides. Ground commanders will continue to hold talks. The two sides will exchange sweets on Diwali on Thursday. The Indian and Chinese troops were verifying the vacation of those positions and also the removal of infrastructure. The Foreign Secretary, as we recall, Vikram Misri, on October 21 had announced that New Delhi and Beijing had reached an agreement to disengage in the remaining friction points at the LAC near eastern Ladakh. Indeed, India's Vishal Barristow has been following that story for us, and he joins us now. Vishal, what's the update on the verification process?
Well, a very good evening to you, Mark. Yes, you rightly said that verification would be done on both sides of the LAC, which means India and China. And verification is a process which is very much required because you need to be sure that everything has been taken away, whether it was even a tent. So this would need some time because the terrain is such that if you go on foot, it would require 6 to 8 hours. So aerial verification, physical verification is going on. And the good news is that both sides have agreed on the pre-April 2020 position, and both sides would be moving to that position. And the ground commanders would be supervising this verification. Tomorrow, which is Diwali, which is the festival of lights and the biggest festival of India, both sides would be exchanging sweets. So all bitterness gone, and the friction points disengagement has been completed. But this is only the eastern Ladakh. There are other points as well for which the talks are on. But as of now, Depsang and Demchok, they have the disengagement is complete. Mark?
Yes, Vishal, tell us a little more about the sweets being exchanged on the occasion of Diwali on the LAC tomorrow, and how it augurs for the future of this relationship and the kind of meetings that are likely to take place between the two sides going forward.
Well, Mark, first of all, let me answer on your sweet question, because tomorrow is India's biggest festival, and on this occasion, exchange of sweets, which we also have used to have with Pakistan. So, with a lot of bitterness was there between India and China, especially after that Gulf 1 issue, and both sides they lost their men in uniform. But after that, with this engagement complete and both sides agreeing on patrolling along the LAC, armed patrolling, and giving prior information before the patrolling. So confidence building measure was there, and as you informed our viewers that Vikram Misri, the India's Foreign Secretary, had also informed that a meeting was held between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Xi Jinping during the BRICS summit. This was the sideline meeting. From there it all started, and it has been going on for a while, both at the military level and also at the diplomatic level. The talks are still on. It's a continuous process. It doesn't mean that Depsang and Demchok have finished all, have put an end to all the friction between the PLA and the Indian Army. because there are still some more points there. But it is very good news as far as India is concerned, because India will now get access to the patrol points, which is 11, 12, 13, 14, and in Demchok, near that Nala, which is the southern part of Demchok. So we would also get access to the grazing grounds, because till now the Chinese army, which was not allowing the Indian shepherds and also the Indian troops to patrol. So the Swedes would bring sweetness in the relation between, in the bilateral relations, and also in the relations between both the armies, which was very much required. The ongoing process is the talks, and when we talk about the ground commanders, it includes the officers of the rank of brigadier and below. So the talks are still on, and also, as informed by the defense sources, the talks are also on about other friction points that also includes Arunachal Pradesh. Mark?
We'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Vishal Barrister. So the sweets are just the beginning, not quite a sweet spot. Now let's move on to our next story. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Gujarat on a two-day visit. During this visit, the Prime Minister inaugurated and laid the foundation stone of various infrastructural and development projects worth over 280 crore rupees in Ekta Nagar, which is Kevadia. So the Prime Minister, in fact, will also offer floral tributes at the Statue of Unity, which will be followed by the Rashtriya Ekta Divas celebrations on the 31st of October. That's tomorrow. And India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goel is visiting Saudi Arabia, and this is to explore new avenues of economic cooperation. During this visit, Piyush Goel inaugurated the Lulu Wali Diwali. This is at the Lulu hypermarket in Riyadh. Wishing everybody a happy Diwali, he highlighted the role of the Indian diaspora in preserving the country's traditions as well as enriching Saudi Arabia's cultural landscape. The minister also said that the celebration strengthens the bond between India and Saudi Arabia. Goel is participating in the 8th edition of the Future Investment Initiative in Riyadh. Piyush Goel held a meeting as well with Peter Herwick, who's the CEO of Schneider Electric, a global company specializing in energy management and digital automation, and also with a strong presence in India. So Piyush Goel discussed the company's investment plans for India and how it can leverage the nation's talent pool and government support to provide high-tech, sustainable as well as energy-efficient solutions to the world. Piyush Goel also met William Ford, who is the chairman and CEO of the global growth investment firm General Atlantic. They discussed potential to collaborate with India's healthcare sector, especially in consumer-focused health enterprises. Additionally, they explored the potential of expansion of investments in global capability centers, as well as various other sectors in India. U.S. mediators are reportedly working on a 60-day ceasefire proposal to de-escalate tensions between the Israeli army and the Lebanese armed group Hezbollah in West Asia. As per reports, the truce period of 2 months would be used to finalize full implementation of the United Nations Security Council Resolution 1701 to keep southern Lebanon free of arms outside state control. The United States' Department of State on Tuesday said that Israel's decision to ban the UN relief agency UNRWA could have consequences under U.S. laws. The law passed by Israel on Monday to ban the UN Palestinian Refugee Agency from operating inside Israel has raised concerns about its ability to provide relief in Gaza after over a year of the war. The agency, which employs thousands of people in Gaza, provides nearly the entire population of the coastal enclave with basic supplies, and it also needs access through Israel.
We are deeply troubled by this legislation. It could shutter UNRWA operations in the West Bank, in Gaza, in East Jerusalem. There could be consequences under U.S. law and U.S. policy for the implementation of this legislation. We are going to engage with the government of Israel in the days ahead about how they plan to implement it.
Well, in Lebanon, Hezbollah has named Naim Qasim as its new leader, but Israel has said that his tenure is going to be temporary. This is an apparent threat after it had killed his predecessor Hassan Nasrallah in Beirut over a month ago. Qasim was appointed as Hezbollah's deputy chief way back in 1991 by the group's then Secretary General Abbas al-Musawi, who was killed by an Israeli helicopter attack the following year. Qasim remained in his role when Nasrallah in fact became the leader and has long been one of Hezbollah's leading spokespersons. Since Nasrallah's killing, Qasim has given 3 televised addresses, including one on October 8, in which he said that he supported the efforts to reach a ceasefire for Lebanon. Israel continued its campaign against Hezbollah with new strikes in southern Lebanon. Plumes of smoke were visible from the Lebanon's Maria Yawun as Israeli strikes hit the outskirts of the Qiyam village near the border with Israel on Tuesday. Cross-border fighting between Israel and Hezbollah began a year ago when the group started firing rockets in support of Gaza's Palestinian terrorist group Hamas. At the beginning of October, Israel launched a ground operation within Lebanon to attempt to stabilize the border area for Israeli citizens who had fled rocket attacks in northern Israel. Also, Israel's military chief has warned Iran to stand down from any retaliation for Israel's airstrikes near Tehran last week, which followed an Iranian missile barrage on October 1.
If Iran makes the mistake of launching another missile barrage at Israel, we will once again know how to reach Iran with capabilities that we did not even use this time, and strike very, very hard at both their capabilities and locations that we set aside for now.
Russia launched an overnight airstrike on Ukraine's Kiev on Wednesday, injuring at least 9 people. Russia struck the region with 62 drones, out of which Ukraine's air defenses had destroyed 33. The drone debris caused fire in a multi-story apartment building. Firefighters evacuated 19 people from flats in an apartment building with several windows blown out. This is the 19th air attack on Kiev in October. Meanwhile, Russia's air defense units destroyed 23 drones launched in a Ukrainian overnight air attack. North Korean Foreign Minister Cho Son-hui will hold strategic consultations in Moscow with her Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov. And Russia's foreign ministry has said that North Korean minister was on her way to Moscow and that details of her talks with Lavrov, including the exact timing, would be released later. The visit, the minister's second to Russia in 6 weeks, comes as the Russia-Ukraine war appears to have taken a dangerous new turn, with NATO and South Korea expressing alarm that North Korean troops could soon be joining on Moscow's side. What's still to come here on DD India Live? The EU starts imposing tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles. The BCSAI sets October 31 as a deadline for franchises to finalize their IPL retentions. And 2.8 million earthen lamps or diyas in the holy city of Ayodhya.
Who will be the next president of United States of America?
Will Donald Trump make a dramatic comeback, or will Kamala Harris become America's first woman president?
It's a tight race to the White House.
The knives are out and the battle lines sharply drawn.
He's becoming increasingly unstable and unhinged.
She's a threat to democracy because she shouldn't even be the candidate.
I'm Amritpal Singh.
I'm Shubhendu Ghosh.
We travel across the United States
To decode the issues at the heart of this polarized election.
Watch this space only on DD India.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Mark Lynn. The issue of illegal immigrants has taken center stage in the US presidential elections. Donald Trump has promised to crack down on illegal immigration and restrict legal immigration if he's elected as president. All along his campaign, he has been vilifying immigrants and has pledged to launch the largest deportation effort in US history. To gauge what American voters think about this issue, DD India's Amritpal Singh traveled to the US-Mexico border and where, most of that illegal crossing takes place. Let's take a listen.
Right now, standing at the US-Mexico border, what you see behind me is that bridge which connects the United States of America with Mexico. Now, as the issue of immigration or illegal immigration has taken center stage in these elections, especially with Donald Trump raking it up, Kamala Harris is also treading soft on the issue, saying she realizes the immigration system is broken and it needs to be fixed, and she will bring a bill on it and sign it into a law if the Congress passes it. But is that really an issue which matters to the Americans? The Americans say migrants, illegal or legal, contribute much to their society.
They're not our problem. In reality, they were from America.
It's just so dehumanizing. We're a nation of immigrants.
But there are others who have bought into Trump.
There's been occasions where you see illegals running up and down here with no clothes on, carrying bags. There's also been issues with illegals jumping in people's backyards, hiding in people's vehicles. And so you're asking if that's an issue. Yes, absolutely, it's an issue.
Then there are those who disagree with Trump's radical proposals but say the immigration system needs to be fixed.
I think immigration is good, not an open border with people rushing through.
So what you see behind me is the Rio Grande River. Hardly a river, just a stream that divides Mexico and the United States of America. It is just knee-deep water that can be easily crossed over. That is why you see the kind of illegal immigration through the southern border of Mexico. But the U.S. also has a fence, but it has surveillance here. You can see security cameras. You can see the border patrol personnel. If the Department of Homeland Security's 2022 data is to be believed, there are 11 million illegal migrants in United States of America, and that is why Donald Trump realizes this issue can be raked up to get votes to come into his kitty. Statistics from the U.S. Homeland Security, however, indicate that there is no direct link between crime and immigrants, any more than it is for naturalized U.S. citizens. Whatever the reality, immigration has become a contentious issue in this election season. The question is, will it lead to significant political dividend for Donald Trump? With cameraman Sanjay Jaina, Amritpal Singh from the Mexico-US border in Texas.
Well, the United States' President Joe Biden has been forced to issue a clarification after he appeared to refer to supporters of the Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump as garbage. In a live stream on Tuesday, Biden attempted to denounce the rhetoric at a recent Trump rally in Madison Square Garden, which was criticized as racist and misogynistic. Biden said that he was describing the racist language as garbage, not Trump supporters.
Donald Trump has no character. He doesn't give a damn about the Latino community. He's failed businessman. He only cares about the billionaire friends he has and accumulating wealth for those at the top. He says immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country. Give me a break. He wants to do away with the birthright citizenship. Who the hell has said that in the last 100 years? And just the other day, a speaker at his rally called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. Well, let me tell you something. I don't know the Puerto Rican that I know, or Puerto Rico where I'm in my home state of Delaware. They're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of Latinos is unconscionable, and it's un-American. It's totally contrary to everything we've done, everything we've been.
Well, the European Union is imposing tariffs on electric vehicles from China starting Wednesday. The EU and China They had been negotiating in trade talks to find a solution, but the talks failed. The EU calls them proportionate, but China doesn't agree. And for more on this, we are joined by DW correspondent Warda Imran in Berlin. Warda, tell us about these EU tariffs.
Thanks for having me. The EU and China have been locked in an intense dispute over duties on electric vehicles from China for months. You've probably heard the EU's talking point about how Chinese EV companies received subsidies from the Chinese government, which the EU alleges led to Beijing offering cheaper prices. And these less expensive offerings have had a big impact. Sales of Chinese EVs in Europe jumped from 3.9% in 2020 to 25% in September last year. That's big growth. Brussels says these subsidies that the companies received were unfair. And after attempts to find a solution, the EU announced tariffs up to 35% on incoming Chinese EVs.
Well, big growth indeed, but what is Germany's stance on the tariffs on EVs?
Well, there is extra concern about Beijing's response here in Germany because the domestic auto industry here has warned about a far-reaching trade conflict which would not be good for either side. The Chinese auto industry calls this move politically motivated and quickly urged for more dialogue. For context, these tariffs would be on top of the current 10% duty on Chinese EVs already in place. And the plan is to put these extra tariffs for the next 5 years. And this will have huge consequences on consumer affordability and the German government's plan to increase EV sales generally here in Germany. The Association of the Automotive Industry in Germany called this measure a step backwards from free global trade.
Well, thanks very much, Warda Imran. And now moving on, at least 64 people have died in Spain's deadliest flooding in 3 decades following torrential rains in Valencia. Roads and towns are submerged and dramatic footage shows people trapped by floodwaters, with some climbing trees to escape. Rescue workers have been using bulldozers and boats to reach those stranded. Train services in Madrid and Barcelona have been cancelled, and schools and essential services are suspended in the hardest hit areas. The UAE government's Amnesty 2024 scheme, which provides overstaying foreigners an opportunity to regularize their visa status or exit the country without penalties, is set to conclude on October 31. Officials clarified that the 2-month amnesty, which began on September 1, will not be extended beyond the deadline. Overstaying expatriates are urged to take advantage of the final opportunity.
They have been stranded here for the last 26 years and they didn't have any idea where to go because they're not educated. So they didn't have any information or any sort of details about their passports or visas. They have been stranded here for all these years, struggling to live, and they didn't even know where to approach, basically. So that is when our United Arab Emirates has announced the amnesty, and they have come to us for help. We helped them to go to the airport, get all their details of their visa, and then we came and approached the consulate. Our consulate has been also very helpful, and they have now provided them their passports as well. And now Ratna Kumari and Godala baby are ready to fly back to our country.
Well, as the Amnesty 2024 deadline approaches, the Consulate General of India in Dubai remains committed to providing support to the Indian expatriate community, ensuring a smooth transition and also reintegration.
Close to the end of 2 months amnesty period, which started on 1st of September. Last week, I had mentioned to media colleagues that we have extended 10,000 services. Today, it has gone to over 12,500. Within a week's time, we have added another 2,500 people being served. More than the numbers, I think this amnesty exercise and the efforts of consulate along with the community members, volunteers, has given hope to lots of families which were not having that hope just about 2 months ago. People who were unfortunately ended up on the wrong side of law and were violators of their visa terms and conditions and that overstayed. Today they have a fresh lease of life and they have gone back to their country. And now they will be able to come back when there are better opportunities.
Well, this Diwali, Ayodhya is set to host an extraordinary celebration offering visitors a spiritual as well as a cultural journey. The Uttar Pradesh government is all set to attempt a Guinness Book of World Record, a Guinness World Record that is, by trying to light over 2.8 million earthen lamps. They are called diyas in Ayodhya. And this grand procession, in fact, was organized to mark the occasion on Wednesday. The Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath seen there, the Union Minister Gajendra Singh Shekhawat, the Deputy Chief Minister Brajesh Pathak. They applied tilak, in fact, on the forehead of artists who were enacting the roles of Lord Ram and Lakshman. And as they moved through the streets, devotees also captured these powerful scenes on their phones, while fireworks and colored gulal, or color, in fact, filled the air. Cricket fans around the world are eagerly awaiting for the announcement of the players' retentions for the upcoming edition of the Indian Premier League. The BCCI has set the deadline of October 31 for the franchises to finalize their retention. Now, as this year will be a mega auction, the franchises are allowed to retain as many as 6 players, of which at least 1 has to be an uncapped Indian player. A lot of big names like KL Rahul, Rohit Sharma and Rishabh Pant have been rumored to be entering the auction pool. That's all in this edition of DD India Live, but let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those of you on the go, you can get the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code and download it now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Mark Lin from all of us here in Delhi. Thank you for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.